Last week, I began to talk to you about expectations. What are the confident expectations you have? What is the hope? What are the hope you have? I want to give you a secret today, which you might never have thought about. Do you know that the things you've learnt condition you on what to expect in life? You know, if you've never heard of something, or all you've been hearing in your life is in a particular direction, for you to expect something different is going to be very difficult. Let me give you an example. You know, there was a virgin in Israel. The Bible tells us her name was Mary. She was not married, of course, virgin woman married. She was engaged to be married to a man called Joseph. Young lady, one day in the book of Luke, we're told, first chapter of Luke, an angel came to her. And the angel told her something that was incredible. The angel told her, she said, Mary, you are going to get pregnant and you will have a son. And the angel went on to talk about what the son was going to be. Now you know the story. The son that the angel was talking about was Jesus. Mary listened carefully. And then she told the angel something. She said to the angel, there's a teeny, itty-bitty detail you've omitted in this your nice prophecy about me having a son. And that tiny detail is this. I'm a virgin. I've never had any relationship with a man. Virgins don't give birth. Virgins don't even conceive. So she said, how can these things be, seeing that I've never known a man? Do you know this? The things that you don't expect in your life are really because of the things you've heard before. The things you hear in the news, the things you've learned from school, the things your parents have told you, your siblings have told you, your cousins have told you, your friends have told you. They have come to form your expectations. I remember some years ago, in my country, Nigeria, the Broadcast Commission had come against Pastor Chris for showing miracles on TV. And you know, one of the things they said was this. They said, how can someone who gets healed who was a cripple, or who was lame, who was paralyzed, how can he get healed and immediately begins to run? They say it's not possible. Why do they think it was not possible? These were Christians talking, not Muslims, not animists, not heathens, not atheists. These were Christians that were talking. They say it's not possible for someone to get healed and to begin to run. But you see, because even though they were Christians, they had never read in their Bible about the man who was healed in the book of Acts in chapter 3. How he was lame, crippled from his mother's womb. And yet the Bible tells us that immediately he got healed, he was walking and leaping, not even running. He was leaping, not even jumping. He was leaping. When you leap, it's more than a jump. Which is easier? Just think, which is easier? For someone that was born lame from his mother's womb, which is easier for him to do, to run or to leap? This guy was leaping. I mean, if they had heard or read in their Bibles that someone who was lame began to leap, they would have known that someone who is paralyzed can run. They didn't have that expectation. That expectation was not there. You see, what are the things you've been hearing? What are the things you've been hearing? I remember years ago, I was watching a TV program. We were kids then. There was a preacher on TV, the late Archbishop Benson Idahosa in Nigeria, who has inspired so many. He was talking about how he traveled out of the country and he had run out of cash and he didn't want to ask his host for money. And he prayed to God in his hotel room. By the time he woke up the following morning, he said dollar bills were scattered, littered his whole room, on the bed, on the floor, dollar bills everywhere. I was watching it with one of my relatives, and the relative said, it's not possible. It's not possible. How can it be? He's lying. And I turned and I looked at her and I said, what? Why can't it be possible? It's God. He's talking about God. After all, in the Bible, the man of God had prophesied, Elisha had prophesied, that by this time tomorrow, the economy of the country was going to change. Inflation, hyperinflation, was going to crash down. Prices and costs of things were going to change and become cheap. But somebody, a man who felt he knew everything about economy, about finances, he was the minister of finance, the minister of strategic planning. He said, how can this thing be? He said, even if God was going to open the windows of heaven, it cannot happen. He didn't have an expectation. He didn't have a hope. He didn't expect it. Who are those you are listening to? Who are those you are hearing? Who are those who are talking to you? What are your experiences? You need to turn off that television set. You need to stop watching CNN that are talking so much about terrorism. Stop watching the news until you can get your mind to hear what God has to say. Better still, there's a Pastor Chris Digital Library. Get the app from the App Store, Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Get it. Begin to listen to those words so that your expectation will change, so that you begin to hear things that are happening. Do you know there are people whose finances are changing overnight? Do you know there are people who are being healed of blindness, multiple sclerosis, diabetes, HIV, paralyzed people who are standing up from the wheelchair, people who were on dialysis, their kidneys are being fully restored and healed. The blind are seeing. You know, if you don't see these things, if you don't hear these things, you can have an expectation. If you're mixing only with negativity, impossibilities, you won't know that all things are possible to him that believes. Do you know, as you're watching me, within the next 10 minutes, you can get a phone call that will change your life. Within the next 24 hours, your life can change. It's just a question of changing your expectation, changing the way what you expect, your hope. God says, I know the thoughts that I have towards you, thoughts of good and not of evil. What are the good things that can happen in your life? What are those good things that you want to happen in your life? God said, the thoughts I have towards you. And you know, how do you know what somebody's thoughts? How do you know what somebody's thinking? It's what the person says. Because words are thoughts clothed with vocabulary. That's how Pastor Chris defines words. They are thoughts clothed with vocabulary. So God's thoughts are in his word. They are in the scriptures. So you've got to hear them and then begin to build an expectation, build a hope. My prayer for you and my hope and expectation for you is that this week, as you align your thoughts with and align your expectations with what God has said, that what God has said will begin to work in your life. It will work in your life. You know, God has said so many beautiful things. So many beautiful things. Do you know what he tells us? He said, no weapon that is formed against you shall prosper. No weapon. So don't be afraid of the terrors, the news of terrorists. No weapon shall prosper, shall succeed against you. Expect protection. Expect promotion. The path of the just is as a shining light that shines brighter and brighter. Your life is getting better. Things are getting better. Expect it. Expect good things. Expect great things. That's what God has said about you. That's what he has said about you. Don't worry. The Lord is your shepherd. You shall not want. You won't lack for any good thing. That's what he has said. Have an expectation. In this my life, I will never be broke in this life again. I will never be poor in this life again. I will not die from sickness in this life. Maybe the doctors have told you you have an incurable blood disease that is going to kill you. It will not kill you because that same spirit that raised Christ from the dead is alive in you. And by the way, by the stripes of Jesus, you were healed. You have been healed. So come on, have a good expectation. Next week, I will talk to you some more about having a good expectation. I will see you there.